Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com. Reuters reports China's new coal plants set to become a costly second fiddle to renewables. China's plans for some 100 new coal-fired power plants to back up wind and solar capacity have sparked warnings that the world's second biggest economy is likely to end up lumbered with even more loss-making power assets. The reality is that China has more coal power capacity than it needs. China is the world's largest and fastest growing producer of renewable energy, which is expected to account for a third of all power supplied to its grid by 2025. We've seen the propaganda, now let's look at what's actually going on in China. Wind and solar only supply a tiny fraction of China's energy usage, and the growth rate of coal is higher than either wind or solar. China is planning on building 655 new coal-fired power plants. Reuters also reports that China is having their worst cold snap in several decades. It looks like global warming isn't keeping people warm in China. Temperatures in northern China are close to minus 30 degrees Celsius, and there's almost no wind. And even if the wind was blowing, they probably couldn't operate the wind turbines because of ice building up on the blades, which would damage the turbines. During these Arctic cold blasts, it's fairly typical for there to be very little wind. The Winter Olympics has been held for 100 years, and last year's event in Beijing was the coldest on record. The reason why China is building all of these new coal-fired power plants is because they need them. Rather than contacting the people in China making these decisions, Reuters chose to interview some fake analysts who would tell them the propaganda which they want to hear. This sort of completely fake journalism has become the norm in the American press. I installed wind and solar at our house this year, and every single component came from China. Wind and solar are a great export business for them, and the government of China understands how climate propaganda helps their business. And that's exactly why China is funding the global warming scam. It is a big moneymaker for China. Toto's been pulling back the curtain on the climate scam for more than 15 years. You can visit him and his family on the web at realclimatescience.com.